Most people move through life believing coincidence is random, a scattering of chance, a roll of unseen dice, but near death experiencers return with a different awareness. Their lives begin to speak in patterns. Numbers repeat, names resurface, moments line up with quiet precision. Strangers arrive carrying words they couldn't possibly know. It doesn't feel chaotic, it feels arranged. And once you notice the pattern, you feel its rhythm. You can't return to believing it was all accidental. Tonight, we explore the experiencers whose lives began to reveal a design after they crossed death's threshold and came back. I'm Candy, and this is Half Haunted Chronicles. Synchronicity predates psychology, religion, and recorded history. But among near death experiencers, it doesn't arrive as an abstract idea. It arrives as repetition, too precise, too frequent, too personal to ignore. Experiencers describe the pattern as a trail I didn't know I was following, life rearranging itself quietly, a conversation without words, moments clicking together when I wasn't looking. They don't call it psychic, they don't call it magic, they describe it as awareness. The way a musician hears when a note is off key, and once the pattern begins, it rarely fades. Coincidence explains a moment, but patterns explain a life. These are the moments when coincidence stopped pretending to be random. The woman who followed the numbers. Celeste survived a drowning accident that should have taken her life. She recovered. She returned home, tried to move on. Soon after, the same three numbers began appearing everywhere. 427. Receipts, clocks, street signs, license plates trapped in traffic. At first, she ignored it. Then it intensified, sometimes 10 times a day. One night, after seeing the numbers on a billboard, she took a different route home. Her usual route was the site of a fatal collision at the exact same time she would have passed through. Celeste later said, "It wasn't a warning, it was a suggestion I finally listened to." The man who kept meeting the same stranger. Lucas survived an NDE after a workplace accident. Life resumed, mostly unchanged. He began seeing the same man, silver hair, red scarf, in places that didn't overlap. A grocery store, a bus stop, a cafe across town, even outside his gym. Different days, different neighborhoods. No explanation. Finally, Lucas approached him. The man smiled and said, "I've been waiting for you to say hello." They spoke briefly, intimately. The calm Lucas felt was unmistakable. The same warmth he remembered from his ND. When the man left, Lucas never saw him again. Lucas said he wasn't a stranger, he was a moment the pattern needed. The child and the returning song. 7-year-old Iris nearly died from a severe allergic reaction. Afterward, she began humming a melody, soft, slow, unfamiliar. She didn't know where it came from. Months later, her mother discovered the same melody handwritten in her late grandmother's notebook. It had never been recorded, never shared. Yet the tune kept resurfacing on the radio, in commercials, even whistled casually in a grocery aisle. Her mother later said it felt like the world kept reminding her she wasn't alone, and she probably wasn't. The woman who met the same message everywhere. Helen survived an NDE in her early 20s. Years passed. Then a sentence began following her. Walk toward what you love. She found it in novels, in poetry, in academic texts. On random pages she opened without looking. Different authors, different eras, same words. One night, shelving books alone, Helen whispered, "Okay, I hear you." The next morning, she applied to become a grief counselor, a calling she had quietly avoided. Her acceptance email ended with the quote, "Walk toward what you love." The sentence hadn't been instruction, it had been waiting. The man led to his future wife. Aaron survived a cardiac arrest. He returned changed, but unsure how. Then a name began appearing everywhere. Boards, graffiti, book spines, a name tag at a cafe. He started counting. 72 appearances in 2 months. One evening, he almost declined a dinner invitation. Then he noticed the note, hosted by Lena. He went. She became his wife. Aaron later said, "I wasn't searching, I was being guided." The pattern is unsettling because it asks us to reconsider randomness. Near-death experiencers don't describe it as fate. They describe it as a response, a subtle back and forth between their choices and something listening. The pattern doesn't force, it invites, it judges, repeats, waits, and when the experiencers finally notice, finally respond, their lives don't become perfect, they become aligned. Near death experiencers don't come back with answers, they come back with attention. And once you start paying attention, life begins answering in its own quiet way. Tonight, we explore the patterns and synchronicities that emerge in lives of near death experiencers. Next episode, we move deeper still when experiencers begin attracting people, strangers who feel compelled to approach, confess, or connect without knowing why. Until then, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.